I'm Sarah Gould-Waslohn, and I'm going to take you through maybe like a 30 or 40 minute flow through some Pilates exercises. This is in sort of an intermediate level class, intended for those of you who take class with me on a regular basis or who already have some Pilates, yoga, or dance experience. We're going to use no equipment. If you want for the standing work, you can be close to like a tall chair or something to hold on to. Otherwise, we're just going to be using your body, gravity, and a mat if you'd like it. So we'll just kind of jump right in. So if you want to use a chair of some kind, something to hold on to, we're going to start with the lower body. So starting with the legs and the feet, standing fairly close together. I'm facing this side so you can see my alignment a little bit better. So squeezing the thighs inward, a little more weight in your toes than in your heels. Collarbones wide and drawing the abdominal wall back and up. So we're getting as tall as we can be, rooting down through the toes, lifting up through the crown of your head. And I want you to lift your heels up really slowly. And take your heels down even more slowly. Lifting and lowering the heels. Magnetize your inner thighs. You can use something to balance if you need. The slower, the better here. Trying to wake up the muscles in your feet to do some of this work for you, rather than just using the calves. They'll work too, but we want to really start to wake up the feet. And the slower you go on that descent, the more we'll get that foot engagement. The heel barely taps the floor and then you lift up again. Inner thighs are still squeezing. Collarbones are still wide. We're still pulling the abdominals in. And now let's lift the heels and hold it up. Wearing your impossible stilettos. Squeeze those knees. You're going to bend the knees. Lowering down in your elevator. Keep the spine vertical. Knees are together. And straighten the legs back up. You can try to do this with your balance if you'd like, or you can hold on. Squeeze your inner thighs. Balance is a lot about our abdominals, our inner thighs and pelvic floor, as well as our vision. So if you're having a hard time balancing, find one point to focus on, something that doesn't move, and keep your eyes on that. We'll do two more, keeping the chest lifted, heels high. The higher you can get your heels, the more quadricep work we'll feel here. Squeeze your knees together. And now let's keep it low. Stay low through your hips. Keep your spine here and lower the heels down. And lift your heels up. Keeping the torso stable. Just moving through the lower half of the body, through the legs and feet. Really wrap your abdominals around your spine. Collarbones wide, relax your shoulders. Breathe however makes sense to you. One more. Maybe 1.5. Lift your heels up. Straighten your knees, come all the way up. Now imagine keeping your head here as you lower your heels down. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with a little bit of turnout. I'm simply going to face you, but you can face whatever direction you want. So we're going to take a really small V through the feet, just a small slice of pie, because we want to keep the heels together. So same alignment, squeezing the abdominals up and in, more weight in the toes than the heels, and we'll lift those heels up and lower down. Keeping the heels together. Feel free to modify your stance if you need to. Making sure the knees are extended as much as you can, meaning straight, unless your knees are knocked or you're hyperextended. But try to keep them as straight as you can in this position. Collarbones wide, relaxing through the neck and chest. Or rather through the neck and shoulders. Chest is wide, belly button pulling back. Engaging the deeper abdominals, the pelvic floor, and the inner thighs. Thinking more back of the inner thighs here in our external rotation. Lift your heels up. Keep the heels high and together, and we'll bend the knees. Keep your spine straight up and down, and simply lower in that elevator and squeeze all the way up. Inhale, bend. Exhale, lift, 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 getting taller, 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 and then bend. Just actively squeeze your heels together, find those inner thighs, pelvic floor, and abdominals. Three more. Should feel this in the legs by now. Mostly the front of the legs, the quadriceps. We'll get to the hamstrings later. And let's sit low and hold. Spine straight up and down, lower your heels down and lift your heels up. They might not touch the floor, that's okay. Keeping the chest lifted, belly button back. Spine and pelvis stay stable. You can try to test your balance if you'd like, or keep your hand firmly on something. That's fine too. 3, 2, lift your heels up, squeeze and straighten the legs all the way, get taller, squeeze more, and slowly lower your heels down. And shake that out. Rolling out the ankles. If you've got a wall or something like a chair to hold on to, let's take a little bit of a calf stretch here. So you're gonna step 1 foot back, straightening that back knee, keeping the chest lifted. The more we dump down, we get out of this stretch. So you wanna think pelvis forward, chest up, squaring the hips to the wall or chair in front of you. Shoulders are down. When we're breathing, you could also play with this stretch and bend that back knee, getting more into the soleus rather than the gastrocnemius. So different calf muscles. The soleus is deeper. The gastrocnemius is the larger one on top. And we'll switch legs. And just noticing where you feel warm, what muscles feel engaged, whether that's your feet, probably the calves, probably the quadriceps. Notice if your inner thighs feel anything here. What about the shoulders and abdominals? Just checking in. Feel free to play with this stretch. The more you can find some posterior tilt, the more stretch you'll find as well. And we'll release that stretch. Come away from your wall or your chair. Just kind of move that out of the way. And we'll kind of warm up the shoulders a little bit. Palms facing forward, feet just about sit-bone distance apart. And we'll slide the scapula up your back and down your back. Scapular elevation and scapular depression. Up and down. One more, up and down. Take your arms up. You might not be able to see my hands, but the palms are facing forward. Same thing through the shoulders. Lift up, slide the scapula up your back and slide down the back. Scapular elevation and scapular depression. Try to keep the arms long, meaning elbows straight. Again, pulling the belly button in. Still thinking about our posture. Let's add one more. Okay, take these arms forward, palms facing in. I want you to reach your shoulders back, squeeze the shoulder blades together behind you, retract the scapula. And now reach your arms forward, protract the scapula. And again, retract, squeeze the shoulder blades together behind your back. Widen the scapula by bringing your arms forward. Squeeze and widen. Squeeze and widen. One more. Squeeze and widen. Now we're going to take that retraction and protraction, what we just did, but now with the arms out. So squeeze the shoulder blades together behind you, keeping the shoulders down, and then widen, reaching your fingers out to the corners of the room. Squeeze and reach. And my arms are at a little bit of an angle here, slightly forward, squeeze, and reach out to those corners that your fingers are reaching to. This is a more subtle exercise, finding that wide scapula position, the protraction. Reach through the pinky fingers, and one more, squeeze, and widen, and release your arms down. Let's just take some arm circles, reach forward and up, back behind you and down. A few more, reach into the space behind you, that space that we forget about because we can't see it. And then reverse. So these may seem like really simple movements, but they're really important because they can get out of alignment, and then that's going to screw our bigger movements up. Okay, and then just step your feet wider, and we'll take a twist. Just allowing the spine, hips, even the legs to twist with you. Swing your arms. Allowing your head to rotate in the same direction, unless that makes you dizzy. And then continue to twist, but now fix your head forward, so you're looking straight ahead as you twist, which means that the head is rotating, the neck is rotating the opposite direction from the rest of the body. And back to the center. And let's just do a little bit for balance here. Stand with one foot directly in front of the other. Squeeze your inner thighs together, square the hips and shoulders forward. Standing tall, rooting down through the feet, lifting up through the crown of the head. So we're thinking of growing in two directions, down and up. And if you want to challenge your balance, you can close your eyes, or you can keep your eyes open and turn your head and eyes from side to side. Lots of different ways to challenge our balance. Maybe taking the head and eyes up and down. And if you're just watching and not doing, try it out. It's harder than it looks. Okay, let's switch sides. Standing heel to toe, one foot directly in front of the other. Square your hips and shoulders forward. Even weight on both feet, so we're not relying on our dominant leg. Collarbones wide, growing in two directions, down through the feet, up through the crown of your head. And feel free to challenge your balance in any number of ways. You could circle the head and eyes. You could close your eyes. We'll balance for about 20 more seconds. Challenging yourself in any number of ways. Sometimes when we balance, we try to kind of make ourselves smaller, tight, and rigid to try to sort of contain everything. I like this idea, though, of expanding the body to create balance. So sort of stretching out in all directions. And that actually makes us that makes our center much stronger. And creates actually a little bit more solid base and more balance. So try to find that sense of expansion through all parts of the body. And we'll work more with that concept today. All right, we'll uncross the legs. We're gonna come down to hands and knees. And you're welcome to be on a mat or put a towel underneath your knees. So we'll come down here. So wrists underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. I have no idea if I'm centered or not, but that's okay. All right, so fingers spreading wide, and if this hurts your forearms, your hands, your wrists, you can certainly come down to your forearms. So that's a modification. If this doesn't work for your wrists, that's absolutely fine. So let's just do a little bit of spinal movement. So we're going to extend the spine, broaden your collarbones, widen your sits bones, lift the head and tail up. Inhale. And now exhale, lengthen the spine, scoop your abdominals and round, finding flexion through the spine. Inhale, lengthen, come through neutral and extend. Wide sits bones, wide collarbones. Exhale, scoop, lengthen the spine and round. Inhale, lengthen and extend as if the back of your head and your tailbone are gonna meet behind you. Exhale, scoop and round like your nose and pubic bone are gonna meet in front of you. Inhale, extend, broaden the collarbones, think external rotation through your arms. Exhale, scoop and round, push the floor away. Maybe think internal rotation with the arms. 3 more, inhale. And exhale, getting longer through the spine as you move through your positions, pushing the floor firmly down. Especially pushing down as you scoop the abdominals up and in. 1 more. Roll those collarbones wide. Exhale, scoop and round. Moving the synovial fluid in the spine. And now find your neutral, honoring the natural curvature of your spine. So you have that little arch in your lower back, little arch in your neck, and some rounding through the upper and mid back. Okay. So again, challenging our balance. I'm going to have you slide your right hand forward, so you're just on those fingertips. And slide the left toes back, so you're just on those toes. Balancing on 2 limbs. And now take the arm and leg up. Trying to keep the spine stable. We'll lower back down, toes and fingers. And then take your hand and knee underneath you. Other side. Left fingers, right toes slide out. We're still on the floor. Then lift the arm and leg up. Keep the spine stable. Lift out of the supporting shoulder. Lower the fingertips and toes. And come back down, hands and knees. Let's add breath. Inhale, slide. Exhale, lift. Keep your abdominals lifting throughout. Inhale, lower, fingers and toes. Exhale, sneak the hand and knee underneath you. Other side, inhale, slide. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hand and knee come down. Inhale, slide. Keep your spine stable. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower, touch down. And sneak the arm and leg under. 1 more like this. Inhale, slide. Exhale, lift, 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 lift. Inhale, fingers and toes touch. Exhale, sneak the arm and leg underneath you. Fingers spread wide. Keep your spine neutral and tuck your toes under your feet. Pressing down through all your fingers and most of your toes. Lift and hover your knees 2 inches from the floor. And this is the part where it gets harder to talk as I'm holding. We're going to stay for another 10 seconds. Pushing down through the hands and feet. Lifting up through the abdominals, wide sits bones. Reach the crown of your head forward and lower your knees down. Take 2 restful breaths. Widen the scapula. Lift your abdominals without rounding the spine, so we stay neutral. And now lift and hover your knees just 2 inches from the floor. Stay and breathe. Make sure you don't hold your breath. So now we should definitely feel some heat in the body, some warmth. 1 more inhale. Exhale, lower down. Untuck your toes, take a child's pose to rest, or any other stretch that you prefer. And we're just gonna borrow something from yoga here. We're gonna do a stretch. So I like to start this on the forearms. So coming down to your forearms, knees are underneath your hips, so your butt is up. And then you're gonna walk your forearms forward and keep walking them forward. Try to lay your chest down on the floor. And you can bring your forehead down to the floor or your chin. So it gives you some nice extension through the upper back. Try and relax your shoulders here. 2 more breaths. All right, and come down to lying on your front. I'm gonna turn around. Okay, so lying face down now. We're gonna focus on the backs of the legs, a little bit the hamstrings. So you're gonna stack the hands one on top of the other, forehead resting on your hands. So your forehead's gonna stay down, my head's gonna stay up so I can still talk to you. So I want you to press your pubic bone down. So we're tucking the tail a little bit here, finding a posterior tilt. Draw your abdominals up slightly. So we're gonna keep that pelvic tuck, keep the lift through your abdominals. And now really slowly, slow is the key, I want you to bend your right knee. So your heel will start to come toward your pelvis. And then lower that leg back down. And then we'll switch legs. Bending the left knee. Keep that posterior tilt in your pelvis, the lift in your abdominals. And depending on how tight your quadriceps are, it might be more or less challenging. I have tight quads, so this is hard for me. Try not to let the pelvis move as you lift that heel. Bending the knee. Keep pressing your pubic bone and your right hip down as you bend the right knee. And lower with control. The slower you go, the more gravity will feel heavier. And sort of move like you're moving through some resistance, or as if you had a spring attached to your foot. Alternating legs each time. And try and relax the shoulders. Keep that lift through your abdominals. One more each leg. And take your time if you're still working on those. We're gonna now bend both knees, still pressing pubic bone down. So you might not be able to go as far this time. Make sure your butt doesn't lift, but that you're still tucking the pelvis, pressing pubic bone down, belly button up. And then slowly lengthen and lower. If this movement is really easy for you, then try and lift and hover your knees up. Keeping that hover in the knees as you bend. Again, make sure your booty doesn't pop. Let the pubic bone stays down, posterior tilt. And try 2 more. Make sure your legs are parallel, that they're not rotated externally or internally, but that the feet track with the legs. I might be in a little external rotation. We'll say that's okay. 1 more. Okay, so now we are going to bend both knees. We are going to take some external rotation. Heels together and take the knees a little wider. Again, press pubic bone down, belly button up, which may already feel like a big stretch in the hip flexors. And it might, this might be where you stay. That's fine. Squeeze your heels together. Again, belly button lifts. Take an inhale. And exhale, try and lift your knees up off the floor, keeping the pubic bone down. And my knees don't go very far, that's okay. Inhale, lower. So it's a small movement. Squeeze your heels, lift. Inhale, lower. Again, keep the lift in your abdominals. Lift your heels up. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, squeeze and lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, squeeze and lift. Inhale, lower. 2 more. Lift and hold. Little pulses up for 10, 9, 8, 7. Getting higher. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Go ahead and walk the legs a little closer together. Gently rock your hips side to side. Okay, we're going to come back back to forearms and knees, or hands and knees. You can be either on your hands or your forearms. I'm going to choose my forearms. And we're going to do some awkward movements here. And I'm going to just turn to this side. So starting with your right leg, you're going to take your right knee out to the side, dog at a fire hydrant, and lower that knee, tap it down. We're going to stick with the right leg. So open to the right and lower down. Open to the side and lower down. Keeping it somewhat slow. Breathe however makes sense to you. Keep a little lift through your abdominals. 3 more. I'm going to turn to the side, but keep going. Looking down between your elbows or back at your knees. And now we'll switch legs. Left knee out to the side, dog at a fire hydrant, and lower. Out to the side and up. As high as you can take that knee. Working on the medial glutes, gluteus medius. Really important balance muscles. We use them when we're walking so that we don't fall over. And when we're standing on one leg. And one more. Okay, now working on hip and knee extension. Moving back to your right leg, extend that leg back, straightening that knee completely, lifting the leg as high as you can without compromising the lower back, and lower that knee down. Same leg again, kick back and up, all the way straight, and lower down. All the way straight, and tap that knee down. Again, slower is going to be harder here. Going to be more challenging for those stabilizing muscles, which is what we're after. It's what I'm after. Keep that lift in your abdominals. Make sure that you find full knee extension each time and full hip extension. So working more with the lower glutes to extend the hip, the hamstring, and quadriceps. And then that glute medius on the supporting leg is still working. All right, switch legs. Kick back and up, completely straight knee, and lower down. Finding full hip extension, full knee extension, and then lower down. And take a moment, make sure that knee is all the way straight before bringing it down. Don't be in a rush. You'll skip that really essential moment when the knee is straight. And there's an important muscle that gets worked just at that last half inch, quarter inch of straightening your knee. And we really want to make sure that that muscle gets its work done for the health of our knees and hips and ankles and feet. It's all connected. One more. Okay, go ahead and lie down onto your back. So find a reclined position. And I'm happy on the floor, but if you'd like some padding underneath you, do what you need. Do what your body needs. So feet hip width apart, or about a fist distance between your feet. And just feel that all 10 toes are on the floor. That you are in a neutral spine, so there's a tiny little gap of space underneath your lower back. Shoulder blades flat against the floor or the mat, and that the back of your neck is long. Okay, press down especially through your big toes and through the outer sides of your heels. And press through the backs of your shoulders. Take an inhale. We'll stay neutral in your pelvis. Exhale, float your pelvis up. And then again in neutral, we'll fold at the hip creases and land your sacrum down. And again, floating up. Press into your big toes. Little less glutes, more inner thighs, more abdominals, and float down, hinging at the hip creases. Lengthen your sits bones toward your heels. And again, floating up Really zipping the abdominals, working them isometrically. And lower down, arms stay pressing down. Again, we stay in that neutral. We're hinging at the hip joint to open the hip crease, the hip flexors, and then folding at the hip creases and landing. And one more. And floating down. Let's do one more. Lift your pelvis up. We're gonna hold it in a lifted position. It doesn't have to be the highest that you can be. I also wanna make sure that your ribs aren't flaring, that you're not arching your back, that you're not arching the upper back, but keeping the ribs pulling in and down so that those abdominals stay engaged. From here, stabilize your pelvis, press into your toes and lift your heels. Lower the heels down and now flex your feet. So only your heels are on the floor. And again, point the feet, lift your heels, lower your heels and flex the feet. Actively press down through your palms and the shoulders. Stay long through the back of your neck. Stable pelvis, deepen your abdominals. The lower back may want to engage. Try to use your abdominals instead. One more of each point. And flex. And then lower the toes down. Press evenly through the front and backs of the feet. Fold at the hip creases. And land your sacrum down. Gently rock your knees side to side. Just to rinse that off. Getting into the glutes a little bit more. Hug your left knee to your chest. Right foot will stay on the floor. Again, press into the big toe ball and the outer side of that heel. Pull your knee in so much that you find that posterior tilt. So the pelvis is tucked. Shoulders are wide, and curl your pelvis up just an inch or two from the floor. Stay here, take a deep breath in, and exhale, roll down. We'll do that twice more. Inhale, exhale, pull the knee in, tuck your tail and lift your pelvis. Inhale to stay, press into the big toe ball, exhale, roll down. Relax the neck, relax your shoulders. Inhale, prepare, exhale, curl up, belly button down, pubic bone up, hold, breathe in. And exhale, lower down. Switch legs. Press into your big toe ball, the outside of your heel. Collarbones wide, inhale. Exhale, tuck and curl, lift up. Hold, breathe in, still weight in that big toe. Exhale, roll down. Relax any neck tension from your neck. Inhale. Exhale, tuck and curl. Deepen your abdominals. Hold for an in-breath. And exhale, lower down. One more, inhale, exhale, curl up. Doesn't have to be very high, hold, breathe in. Shoulders away from the neck, exhale, lower down. Hug both knees into your chest, and now stir your knees in opposite directions. Just yawning the hip joints, giving some good movement to those hips, and reverse. Mobility is as important as stability and strength. We need both to be strong, to be healthfully strong. Healthfully strong. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring the legs to tabletop now. I want you to press your lower back down, so we're in that imprint or posterior tilt. Hands come behind the head. And if you have any neck issues, I would keep your head down or just maybe skip this exercise altogether. So elbows are in your periphery. And if you do have osteoporosis or osteopenia, your movement is going to be super, super duper small. You're just going to barely float the head maybe half an inch off the floor, almost not at all. So we're avoiding deep flexion, which gives you an idea about where we're going. Okay, so inner thighs are zipped together, elbows are lifted in your periphery, shoulders away from the neck. Press your head down into your hands up into your head, and press your lower back down. So already there's a lot of work. Take an inhale, head stays heavy, exhale, we curl up. Press your lower ribs down, scoop the abdominals in, hold, breathe in, and exhale, lower. Elbows stay up in your periphery, inhale, prepare. Exhale, float and curl. Sternum to belly button. Squeeze the inner thighs, hold, breathe in. And exhale, lower. It should be a challenge. Inhale, exhale, we curl up. Hold, breathe in. Exhale and lower. One more, inhale. Exhale, press your lower ribs down, curling the shoulder blades off the floor. Let's stay here. And now you're gonna reach your right toes down toward the floor, almost touch but not quite, and switch. And switch. And switch. Keep your lower back against the floor or the mat. Thighs brush against one another. Press your head into your hands into your head. Curl up a little more. 5, breathing. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's hold it at tabletop. Reach your arms past your thighs. Pump for hundreds. Inhale, 2, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe in. Squeeze your knees together. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe straighten the legs. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe in. Keep reaching forward. Exhale. You can always lower your head down and continue. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 more. Maybe lower the legs a little bit. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And inhale, 2, 3, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hug your knees. Take a little break. We're going to do a little bit more abdominal work here. Welcome to rock your knees side to side. In the meantime, relax your shoulders. You can take a longer break and pause the video if you need to. Otherwise, we'll keep going. We're going to straighten the legs up toward the ceiling. Again, hands behind your head. Press head into hands, hands into head, and curl up. We'll flex the feet. Keep your lower back down. Lower the legs. Inhale. Point the feet. Exhale. Lift up. Inhale. Flex and lower. Exhale. Point and lift. It can be small. Inhale. Exhale. Lift. It doesn't have to be big. We do not want to compromise the lower back. Inhale. Lower. Exhale. Point and lift. Lower back stays down. Scoop the belly up and in. One more. Flex and lower, point and lift, bend your knees and lower down. All right, go ahead and straighten the legs all the way out. Reach your arms back, flex your feet. Take a few deep breaths like you're being pulled in opposite directions. Your heels are being pulled forward, your arms are being pulled back. Growing a little longer in both directions. And now reach the right side of your body longer. Reach that right arm back, right heel forward, and then switch. Left side gets longer, longer, longer. And again, switch. Right arm, right leg, reach. And switch left arm, left leg. Let's do one more each side because it feels so good, at least to me. And release. Okay, a little bit of sideline work and then we'll be done. All right, so a couple of options. You can be down here on your side, supported by your lower arm, or if you want more challenge, you can be up on your forearm. If you're gonna be up here, a couple of things. Your elbow needs to be directly underneath your shoulder. If it's too far out, that's way too much work for your shoulder, even if it's a little too far out. So we wanna make sure, if anything, it's a little closer than it should be. We also wanna make sure that those lower ribs stay lifted, that we're not slumping down here. That's gonna also aggravate the shoulder. So if all of that sounds like you can't maintain all of that, maybe come down onto your arm. Or if your shoulder starts to hurt, come down. Okay, better safe than sorry. Shoulders away from the ears. Lengthen your spine on this angle or all the way down. Belly button to spine. The bottom leg is bent. We're gonna straighten the top leg out. Okay, flex your foot. Stabilize your pelvis heel. Here, we'll swing the leg forward, inhale. Exhale, point your foot and take that leg back. So relatively simple. Still lifting through the lower ribs if you're up on that arm. Or you could lift the underneath side of your waist if you are all the way down. We're doing hip flexion and hip extension. Stabilize your pelvis and avoid the response in the upper body to compensate. Instead, keep your torso stable and still. Keep that leg on the same plane the whole time. Again, keep lifting up through those underneath ribs. Lift up out of that bottom shoulder. And one more, flex and point. Keep that leg behind you, slightly behind you. We're going to lift and lower, lift and lower. It's a relatively small movement. Staying parallel, squeezing that lower glute behind you. Shoulders away from the neck, and 4, 3, belly button back, 2, 1. Now lift that leg halfway, take that leg forward. You can flex or point, I don't care. We're gonna tap and lift, tap and lift, tap and lift. Keep lifting up out of that bottom shoulder. Neck is long, belly button back. 2 more, 2, this is hard. 1, now come back into alignment with your spine. Little circles here. Yeah, you should have some burning now. Keep breathing, reverse. Long spine, shoulders away from the neck, and bend that knee and lower. Let's do the other side. Okay, so you've got your options. You can be down on your arm or down on your side like this, keeping that lift in the underneath side of your waist, or up on your elbow, your forearm. Bottom leg is bent. We're lifting through those underneath ribs. Make sure that elbow is underneath you if you're gonna be up here like me. Straighten the top leg out. All right, long from the crown of your head out through that heel. Again, finding that opposition. Okay, we'll swing forward, hip flexion, flex the foot, inhale. Exhale, point your foot, reach long to the back, as if your leg is being pulled out of the hip socket a little bit, creating more length through that leg. Inhale, flex and swing forward. Exhale, point and swing back. Shoulders away from the neck. Inhale, flex. Exhale, point. So let's do 2 more. Lift up out of the bottom ribs. Belly button to spine. Keep that leg behind you. And now we'll tap the floor and lift. Tap and lift. Tap and lift. Little motion, maybe 6 or 8 inches of range. Shoulders away from the neck. Keep that leg slightly behind you so it's the glutes, the butt that's working. 3, 2, belly button back. 1, in line with the hip, and take it forward. Tap and lift. Tap and lift. Tap and lift. Again, check in with that bottom shoulder. 4, 3, 2, 1. Take this leg back in line with your spine, long from your head to your toes or heel, and circle the leg. So you can flex your foot, you can point it, you can do nothing with it. Either way. Reverse. Send your tension from your shoulders down to your abdominals. Rest that leg down. All right, make sure that you stretch. Take any stretches that feel good in your body. Drink lots of water. That's going to be it for us today. Thanks for joining me.